Welcome to the Spirit Sessions podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us, where I'll help you find your true spiritual home, where every single aspect of you is holy ground, holy ground, holy ground, holy ground.
This is a Spirit Session podcast with Katie Silcox. Venga chicos, empezamos.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hi everyone, Katie here. This podcast is intended to inspire you, educate you, and most importantly, support you on your journey towards knowing who you really are, that inner self, that inner teacher. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer professional health or medical advice on this podcast. If you are suffering from any kind of psychological or medical issue, please do the right thing and seek help from your qualified health professional. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this really special podcast. This was an interview that I really enjoyed doing. It was a little course I gave at a beautiful school called The Sacred Window, where we talked about feminine form Ayurveda. What is it? Why do we love it? And I won't go too deeply into it in the introduction because you're going to get the whole download during this episode. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of a hint that it is the thing that at the end of every single year of Shakti's Ayurveda School, people say, this is the reason why I signed up. And at the end of the year, this is what made the program that we offer each year, our level 1, super special. And so if you want to learn more about what Ayurveda and particularly our feminine form style is, listen to this podcast. You're going to get a deep dive insight. And on that note, you guys, this is the month to sign up. October 2024 is our last early bird month. At the end of this month, the price is going to go up a lot. And so you want to get in now. If you've been thinking about doing Ayurveda school, set up a call with one of our coaches, or maybe you're just ready to pull the trigger. This is the month where it's going to be the cheapest it's ever going to be. So enjoy this podcast on Divine Feminine Healing. And I really hope we get to see some new people in January. Doors are open. Early bird pricing is now. See you soon.
Katie, I just want to say, and Sarah, thank you to you both for your warmth and your kindness and your willingness to come visit us in the Sacred Window community space. We truly love to welcome guests in, and the two of you have been especially gracious. And I have felt for a long time such a resonance with the ways that you share and teach Ayurveda at Shakti School. And it's been such a pleasure to get to know some of your alumni as they start to pursue postpartum care. So I feel very excited to experience some of your teachings here in this space and to help our community really feel some of that as well. So really deep, sincere thanks to you both for being here.
Thank you. Well, wow. What an amazing once in a lifetime introduction. I think that, Christine, there's this sense of the feminine that runs through you and through this community, and through just 2 minutes of hearing your voice. There's a Shakti, there's a power that can be just felt. And I think that's really what we're going to be talking about today. And in a way, you can't talk about it. You can only experience it and feel it and know it. And I think when that touches you, you're experiencing the first definition of the word that really has guided my whole practice and the creation of the Shakti School, which is the word Tantra. And that word, as you guys may know, has a lot of spiciness to it and some sort of exoticism, eroticism, and I would add a lot of misunderstanding and misconception. And when we think about being misunderstood, we're really stepping into the realm of the feminine. And so as we start, what I'll just say is, hi, I'm Katie Silcox. I'm the founder of the Shakti School. I think, some familiar faces, some of you are here who are in Shakti School. And I've written several books about Tantra and Ayurveda. I consider myself a lifetime half-baked student slash seeker, so I don't come up here before you guys as any kind of hierarchical structure, but really as a sister and a friend along the path. And what I always tell students is, like, a really good teacher is just someone who's like a few yards or a few feet or a few miles down the road, and they're just yelling back at you, hey, watch out, there's a tree, or hey, this path is really good. And I love that definition of a teacher because it really settles things and nests things in their proper context. I've been a student and a practitioner of Ayurveda. I have a master's degree in Ayurvedic medicine. I went down the path of the PhD studies. I have a master's in Hinduism. I used to be a researcher in artificial intelligence back before that was even a thing. So I definitely have that really strong love for the intellect and the scholarly and the scientific. It's fun. It's nice. It's important. And really it's my tendency. But the truth of who I am is the feminine. And that's really the impetus behind my own journey. Really started with people ask me, how did you get into this? And my answer is always the same. And it's pain and suffering, right? Like, nobody goes this hardcore for this kind of stuff unless there's a lot of struggle, namely in the form of, everything you can imagine. I've had my fair share, as all of you have, of dealing with family lineage, trauma, karma, as we call it, anxiety, all the feelings being overwhelming, digestive issues, picking the bad boyfriends. I mean, you name it. I've smoked it. I've drank it. I definitely consider myself someone who's in recovery. And I think if you are being honest, we're all in recovery from something. And that's the seeker's journey and the spirit's journey. So today's topic is about Ayurveda, the feminine form roots, and sort of the depth core of this beautiful philosophy and healthcare system. And so I know many of you already are familiar with Ayurveda, but just in case anyone's here that's not, the word Ayur means life, and the word Veda means a science or a methodology, a way of seeing, a technology for a system for understanding. I mean, there are a number of different definitions of the word Veda, but when you put those words together, it means a science of life. And it's much akin to our own biology, chemistry, psychology, quantum physics. It's all there within the Ayurvedic system. The difference being that this system originated in the subcontinent of India, with much historical overlay with Asia, with Africa, with Greece, with Rome, Italy. We really, when we go back and we do this in Shakti School, we spend a little bit more time on it. But when we look at the roots, we can see a story, as all of our roots show, and that is a story of sharing information with one another. The thing about good ideas, even back in the past before the internet and the iPhone, good ideas love to travel. Unfortunately, bad ideas love to travel as well. But good ideas have a way of enduring, and bad ideas have a way of kind of sloughing off after they've reached their pinnacle and peak. And so Ayurveda, you can think of as a cultural, historical, even religious relic of India. And in Shakti School, we really make a point of talking about the importance of understanding that as a cultural phenomenon that many of us don't come from. And yet, if we're really tapped into what the ancient books and teachings say, the ancient books, one of them, namely the Charaka Samhita, says Ayurveda doesn't belong just to India because it's a first principles approach to humans, to humaning, and not only humans, but to animals, to minerals, to plant life, to geographical systems around the world. And so we can think of this as this beautiful tradition from India that miraculously, despite the ravages of time and colonialism and it being deprecated in this horrible way, has survived very much intact and very much alive, not only through the history and the books and the tradition, but also through that lineage of the female, the feminine, the grandmothers, the mothers who don't get any press, right? Who haven't written any of the books, who've been holding this in their kitchens and in their midwifery circles like you guys are for thousands of years. And so if we go over here to the feminine form roots of Ayurveda, the herstory, we won't find as much written down because those women were busy taking care of babies and children and animals and husbands and really working in the felt sense of Ayurveda. So from a first principles approach, Ayurvedic healthcare is a spiritual system for understanding the weaving of cooking in a kitchen and making a remedy in a balm for your what ails you was always woven into this understanding that the root of all of our imbalances is a forgetfulness that we are intimately connected with spirit. And so if I'm doing my job, which I'm trying to do a good job at, of teaching this in a way that's true to what the teachings are, we can approach our healthcare from a place of understanding that we aren't just physical beings, that we have a soul, that we have a spirit, we have a connection to something bigger than just our individual sense of ego or our body. So from a first principles or feminine form perspective, we can think of Ayurveda as a system for seeing reality through the prism of the elements. The elements you may have heard of are fire, water, earth, air, and spaciousness. And we spend lots of time going into what those are, but those are the things that combine that form the very famous Ayurvedic mind-body types. We won't have time to go into that today together, but I just want to kind of run through what these elemental principles are from a first principles approach. So we'll start with the root, and the root is our connection to the earth. And the earth is this principle not only of strength and stability and solidity and that which hangs around, that which gets kind of sticky, even that which actually in an imbalanced way won't leave, right? It's also the energy of feeling directly our opening into the ground, into gravity, into the pull that is reality. This isn't woo-woo, this is real. Right? And I love that we're starting with earth for you all, because in Ayurvedic medicine, the force that draws the baby down and out of you, right, isn't you. It's something else. Just as the force that allows the inhalation to expand your rib cage and your diaphragm away from you isn't just you, right? And the force that allows you to come home, it's breathing us. So earth is this downward flow and this connection to limitless abundance and resource. It's also our strength and our stability in our bones and our muscle and our fat. And then we move on to the water element, which is the principle of that which takes the shape of any container you put her in, that which is always going to flow forward, that which has the capacity to move in a watery way. And so the force of water, that which liquefies, that which gives unctuousness, is not only this blood and lymph and, fertility juices. It's not just that. It's our emotional abilities to allow any emotion to move through us unimpeded. Then you have the fire, one of my favorite elements, because I have a lot of it. And that is the force that changes you, the force that takes the old you and transforms it into the new you, the force that takes the apple and puts it inside your body and turns it into vitamins and nutrition for you. It's that transformational fire that my teacher used to say actually alters your personality in a way that's better for the world. It's what really changes you. It's also the force that is clear seeing wisdom, that allows you to go from ignorance, not understanding things about yourself and others, not understanding the way things actually moved and worked, that clears that veil of misperception, allows you to see truth. And the teachings say that when you have clear seeing wisdom, this is bananas, y'all. When you have clear seeing wisdom, the real wisdom, it is virtually impossible for you to look at yourself or the situation of others without compassion. Clear seeing wisdom always sees the deepest truth of a situation, which, if we're really in that Buddha mind, that Buddha heart, is love. So fire is the burning that allows us to see truth. Raise your hand if you feel like our world needs some of that right now. Like we're swimming in our ignorance. Yeah, I'm with you. And then you have air, and that is the principle of the force that enables you to move from one situation to another in the realm of the cutting edge, in the realm of enthusiasm. It's the force that allows you to feel like you're actually being inspired by your life. You hear the alarm clock and you go, yay, instead of, oh no, right? Like if you're out there listening and you're like, oh, I do feel when I hit the alarm clock, it's okay. Like maybe you just need more sleep, but maybe you aren't inspired by what's ahead. And so that force of air is the wind, and she blows things and she changes things, but she's also the force that dries things out. And so it's the force of aging. And our culture doesn't like this force, right? And yet that is the force that enables the regeneration to come. Then you have the force of the last element, which is spaciousness. And this is one of my favorite ones, because not only is space the element that balances fire, but space is the mystery. Space is the void. Space is the empty womb waiting to be filled. Space is the place that exists between my heart right now, sitting in this room of 30 women, mostly strangers you are, and yet why do we feel connected? It's that I'm here and you're there, and there's room in between us. And in that mystery between me and you, some third thing can appear. If we didn't have separation and space, we would be a blob of weirdness. It's that we feel separate from one another that allows us to fall in love with each other and see the beauty in one another and hate each other as well, right? We get to pick how we use the space. And so my teacher, one of them, Dr. Vasant Ladd, would say this element is the element of love. And if you've ever had a lover or a child, maybe we could say pets don't count, but usually when you're in love, what allows the love to continue is space. Have you ever been in love and your lover left for a week and you think about them and then they come home and there's this joy, right? Or you give your partner room to be who they are, and in that freedom, love can bloom and deepen. So all of these 5 first principles of Ayurveda, I think all of us can feel. These aren't Indian. although we bow before the Indians for coming up with this. They're human. And that's why the Indians didn't call this Hinduism. They called it the Sanatana Dharma, the universal approach, the universal laws, the universal ways of seeing, the human way. And that is kind of a way of entering into our relationship to feminine form Ayurveda, that we enter in from this place of humanity. And that from those 5 elements, they say the whole universe is built. I can look at your faces and I can see this amazing expression of really different elements. And the teachings say, you are a composite of these 5 principles, these first principles, and you have the exact perfect amount to both propel you towards your bliss and your destiny and your love and your gifts and your talents and the way you show up in the world. You have this perfect thing. And you have this perfect amount of them to mess you up, to imbalance the crap out of you, right? To like take you down a road that's going to be super painful, because these elements aren't just our physicality, they're our emotionality, they're our energy body. And guess what else? Beyond that, they are the subtle karmic mental choices and emotions that we are propelled through momentum of the past to move towards, so as to repeat the same stories over and over and over again until our soul finally goes, whoa, I think I've done this 50 times. Maybe I can reverse the wheel. And that's the heart of Ayurveda. Ayurveda isn't about just getting great digestion, which is awesome, but it's about looking at our momentum and being able to see what is my God-given personality gifts that I can use for one thing, and that is to be of service. And what are my tendencies that are coming often from a place of distortion and confusion and my family karma and my past that are preventing me from being able to move forward with this stuff over here. So when we study Ayurveda, we're not interested in becoming balanced. We're interested in this revelatory process of seeing, oh my God, all my life, I thought I was an extrovert and I thought I was a good girl and I thought I was loud and funny, but really that was a covering over my secret inner introvert who's kind of a bad girl, who's very quiet. Y'all feel me? Our exterior is often a persona masking the oppositional interior. When I first started studying Ayurveda, I was so convinced I was a Vata because I was suffering so much with so much anxiety. And if you don't know Ayurveda, like Vatas tend to have a lot of fear. And then as I kind of worked with my therapist and Ayurveda and yoga and meditation and prayer and all these great practices and, you know, trauma healing and all the things you all know about, like that fear got less and less and less and less. And lo and behold, I was like, whoa, I'm a secretly very angry, intense person. And all my friends and family and coworkers were like, yeah, we already knew that about you. And so really Ayurveda is about you realizing parts of your imbalance that everyone around you already sees. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm not allowed to be angry. I'm from Tennessee. I'm a Southern belle. I've got to be nice, right? And through the love of my great mentor and great teachings and great schools, like I learned that that was okay to be fiery, and that's how God made me. And like, how can I not blow that out on everyone else? And when I do, because I will, how can I apologize with grace and elegance? And then the fire got calmed down and she's still there and the air's still there. But then it was like, oh, wow, actually, and some of you are looking at me and going, yeah, we already know that. We don't even know you 5 minutes and we see that. I'm really watery. I'm really tender. I'm really gentle. I cry at the drop of a hat. I'm a lover. I'm a mother. I'm a caregiver. I'm very stable. I'm very slow. And that, of course, is the element of earth and water. And I walk you through that journey, not just to make us all cry, but to say, this is the feminine of Ayurveda. It's this revelation that you don't have to pick a dosha because you're all of them. You're just hiding some of them. The other thing that makes what we do, I think, really unique, and I think just sitting with Ashley and Christine, I can see your faces lighting up and knowing this is how you feel about this approach too, is that we are attempting. So let me just say it real. There's so many systems in the world right now, and I'm not throwing off on them because we need them, but there's so many systems. We grow up with them, then we study them as older folks that tell you how things are, how they should be, and give you a big fat rule book, right? Any of you are medical doctors, nurses, psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers. I mean, you name your certification. Ayurvedic practitioners, Chinese medicine practitioners, body workers, yoga teachers. I could go on and on and on. When you sign up for yoga teacher training and you get your Yoga Alliance or the American Medical Association puts their stamp on you, you have learned the rules and you've learned how to give the right answer, and you better, right? And like, there's nothing wrong with that, because we don't want to just go out into the world with our fairy wand and start, doing, surgery. We need these rules to teach us good lineage-based information that's been stored for us, that has a history of being well thought out and useful, whether we're technologists or Ayurvedic doctors or Western allopathic surgeons. We need the lineage of our elders. That's over here. I call this masculine form, and we all have it and we all need it. And in its most pristine placement, it's wonderful. It's intelligent and it's clever, and it freaking made this thing, right? The devil and the angel that is this thing. But without the feminine, it's lame in the sense that it can't fully walk. And so we in Ayurveda school call this the map of reality, right? The surgeon's handbook, the Ayurvedic food list, right? How you should do X, Y, and Z. And that's a map. And it is like, you're going to Paris and I've been, and I say, hey, I have this map for you. Thank you so much for this map. It's very, very useful to get me to the Eiffel Tower. But then you go to Paris and imagine you lay down the map and you start walking on the map. First of all, you don't go very far and you don't see the Eiffel Tower at all. You see a depiction of it. We're all laughing because no one would do this. And yet we do it all the time. The feminine is the raw, felt experience of what's happening now. And now, and now, and now forever. It's the actual experience of being alive, whereas Ayurveda is the study of life. I'm not interested in only reading about Ayurveda. It's like, I don't have to tell you guys. There's a difference in learning about how to get pregnant and getting pregnant, or learning how to have a baby and have a baby. The experience is the feminine. And let me tell you, and y'all know this, when you're in the moment, sometimes the rule book goes out the window and you create a whole new set of rules because the moment requires it. And so the masculine is the heartfelt preparation, and the feminine is, it's here. The feminine holds the mystery because there's no book or preparation that can prepare you for her. I say in Shakti School, we're going to put everything in little boxes because we need it to be able to understand this limitlessness, but the feminine will burn down every box. She will bust through every single one of your structures. She's the mystery, guys, because she is that which sits behind the ego. And over here, with all of our masculine cleverness and all of our artificial intelligence that's aptly named, we have Prana Shakti, the true life force intelligence that knows how to beat your heart, that knows how to keep your blood levels stable, that knows how to help you have a baby, that knows how to do that, and you do not. None of us do. So in Ayurveda school, we talk about this thing that we call the healing climate. We can learn what foods will help reduce inflammation, and that's wonderful. But Ayurveda understands that the roots of our imbalance all don't come from not having a food list. They come from forgetting the truth of who we are. In fact, the teachings say all imbalances have their origin in the mind. And that doesn't mean that like, oh, I got cancer and I thought bad thoughts. That's not what they're saying at all. They're saying that the roots of these waves that cause the fluctuations in our energy to shift in such a way that causes blocks and imbalances starts from this place of our fears, our misunderstandings, our emotions. We don't see the body and mind as connected. We see them as inseparable, one and the same. What you do to one, you already have done to the other. And so the feminine says, you can take all the herbs, you can do all the right protocols, but the healing climate asks a big question. And that is the central question of tantric philosophy. The question is, what is the matter? What's the matter? What is the matter is asking, what's here for you? Imagine you go to your girlfriend and you say, hey, you seem upset. What's the matter? Well, what you're really asking her is, what are you holding? You're holding something. Show me what you're holding. Tell me what you're holding. Tell yourself what you're holding. Tantra means alchemy. Tantra means a willingness to see reality as it is. And to maybe for one moment hold the possibility that, as my teacher says, the thing that you're running from the most, that you feel is the cage that you're locked in, is actually the place where it's also being held the key. The cage holds the key. So in this idea of feminine form Ayurveda, all the rules go out the window. We start to tap into something that I'm sure you guys speak of lots, that's called our intuition. And that word is like, whoa, what does it really mean? And there's like a comedian, I don't know if you guys know Maria Bamford, and she makes the funniest joke. She lives, I think she was speaking about being in Hollywood and going down and going shopping in these very expensive stores where they sell cashmere. And she's like, it's so amazing how connected I am to my intuition. I'm going into the store in Hollywood. I pick up the cashmere and I say, oh, my intuition just told me that I really needed this cashmere sweater. Thank you, intuition. You know, like my intuition told me to tell you that, you know what, you need to get your, you know, whatever together. Like we have this false idea of what intuition is. Our intuition is the highest aspect of the intellect that is the connection point between God and you, soul and you, if you don't like the G word. Intuition's never wrong. And it's not egoic. It's that which will choose always the highest and best for all parties involved. So the healing climate, this place of feminine form, throws all the rule books out the window, not because the rule books aren't sometimes really super useful in planning and getting things ready, right? But the healing climate asks this deep question, what's here and what's the matter? What is it that you're holding? Because we understand that that thing that you're holding in the here and now moment holds all the Shakti. What is Shakti? Shakti means power, energy power. And if you're sitting out there and you're like, I need more energy, I get it, right? Like we only have a certain amount of personal energy. And like by 4 p.m., I'm like ready to watch Love Island, right? And lay down. Like that's Katie's personal energy, right? But then you have this limitless reservoir of unending flow. That's Shakti. And so a big part of healing is learning how to take the gas pedal, the brake off. It's learning how to power down the resistances. Some of you in the chat mentioned shame, right? That's a huge one. Fear, built up sadness, built up anger, learning how to take the brakes off of the resistances. And as we do that slowly, we start to be able to release and open into the limitless reservoir of untapped power, light, love, healing, potential. Shakti can be defined as the felt, the raw, the primal, the energetic, the tenderness, the experience of reality as it is. And what's so cool from a healer's perspective is that the only place that healing can be found is present moment time. And so feminine form roots of Ayurveda, these shamanic roots of Ayurveda, can be found in all of our traditions all over the world. Anytime a healer has sat with someone else or herself and had a moment of clarity and opening where some of her resistances and her walls got let down, and for just that moment in time, you can feel that love, that universal start to flow in. So there are these two super powerful agents, if you will, that we talk about, I think in class 2 of the first year of Shakti School. And the Hindu tradition calls these two superpowers, we can give them any name we want, but in the Hindu tradition, they're called Shiva and Shakti. And you've probably heard these words, but just like a very psychological, powerful way, practical way of thinking about these terms is the Shiva being the part of you that is here now as presence, as consciousness itself, right? Another way of saying that that's been helpful for me is the part of your mind that can witness the contents of your mind. The part of your mind that can witness the content of your mind. And when I say mind, I mean your feelings and your thoughts. And that phrase alone is like enough for like several years of meditative contemplation, if not lifetimes. And so we've got this unending, quiet field of peace that is the true nature of our mind that can witness all the craziness that we are and beauty that we are. And then we have Shakti. And that is the primal energy itself, the energy behind your fight, flight, and freeze, the energy of behind the anger and the sadness, the energy that moves the blood through your veins, the energy, the pure, wild, raw, wet, piezoelectric life force that makes you different than someone who's on life support that's being artificially kept alive. And the teachings say that when this prana, when this energetic self that's connected like a light bulb is connected to the electrical grid to all other light bulbs, when that electrical force decides, Katie Silcox, you're going to inhale, you're going to exhale, and then there's not going to be another in. Then that energy goes somewhere else. So Ayurveda is the practice of learning how to create a temple of the body that can allow that energy to move as unimpeded through this physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual body as much as possible, so as to infuse the very tissues and organs and thoughts with light, so that you make of your flesh in this lifetime a great poem rather than a book and a story that you've repeated over and over and over and over and over. And by the way, the over and over and over and over and over, we don't want to demonize that, because it is that very wheel of repeating your same mistakes over and over and over that finally makes you wise and weary enough to wake up. So we've got about 20 some minutes left. And so what I thought we could do is a short practice and enter into that experience if that feels okay. And then I'm happy to see maybe Christine, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer if that feels good. Does that feel okay? All right. So we'll do a practice for feeling the elements. All right, guys. So we'll sit together. The first stage of these practices is just to arrive and to fall in love as much as we can with reality as it is. Feeling your body from the crown of your head, moving your attention down your body or behind your body, from the top of your head to the soles of the feet, just letting yourself arrive back inward and downward in the body. As you do that, you may notice, it's quite common, there are parts of us that feel more open, more spacious, parts we like, sensations we like, emotions we like, thoughts we like, and then sensations we don't like. Opening with this sense that we can invite the real you home to this physical body. And then gently letting the attention move into the spine, and just letting, you can kind of see me do it, let your spine kind of sway like a blade of grass. And then you can do that kind of big, like a big sway, and then you let it get smaller and smaller and smaller. And feel your awareness travel down to the base of the spine at the tailbone. And just feel that teeny tiny wave at the root of the body. Letting the body come to stability and stillness, still feeling that downward anchor of the tailbone. And as you next breathe in, just feel the inhale opening the flow of you downward into the reality of the earth below. Feeling this connection to the roots of the body, this earth, this stability, this connection. And then again, just offering up a little gentle sway in the body, a sway in the body. Bringing your awareness to your lower back area, right where you have that curvature of your lumbar spine. And again, if you want to sway the whole time, that's fine, but letting the sway maybe become more subtle as you anchor your awareness in your spine at the level of your lumbar. This place of water. Visualize, feel, sense, imagine just all around you, this endless ocean. And as you next breathe in, feel the inhale invite from the front of your body that water through the middle of your body, all the way to your lower back. It's like you're inhaling, and from the horizontal plane, you're breathing in ocean. And as you exhale, feel the ocean rush back behind your body as far as you can imagine, expanding out in all directions as far as you can imagine. So we'll do that a few times. This water in through the front body at the level of the lower back, out through the back body. Just any color of ocean, any temperature. Some of you may have a huge rushing water. Some of you may have a small river. Anything is valid. One more breath, allowing the inhale to draw this water element into you. Exhale, releasing it, cleansing, clearing. Moving the attention up a little bit into that space just below the rib cage and a little above it, the solar plexus. Inside your body, imagine the light of the sun. And you can even see the sun as you breathe. Feel the solar energy expanding out in all directions. Allowing this realm of your body to be outward extending, front of you, the sunlight, sides of you, and the back of you. Gently moving the attention on the next inhale up to the level of your heart, the rib cage, the center, this realm of air, from solar fire to the lungs, inhaling air, exhaling air. And feel this, again, sense of great intake. What would it feel like as you breathe in again to allow the heart to fully absorb the goodness from the world and your environment? And as you breathe out, again, press that back behind you as far as you can imagine. Inhale, taking in this element of movement, air, change. Exhaling it out the back of you, what would it feel like to let your heart go fully on receptive mode? You can imagine a cool crystal wind coming in through the front, moving out through the back. Letting the heart be a receiver instead of a giver can feel very different for many women. It doesn't mean we won't be able to give, but in the energy system, the arms and the hands give. The heart full on receives. On the next inhale, letting your awareness move up to the throat. Exhale, feel the throat expand out all around you. Moving the attention up to the brain and just feel where you might imagine or feel the brain in your body. Soften the eyes, the jaw. And again, this part of our body is a receiver. And so can I let the eyes relax? Can I peel the brain off the front of my cranial bones, letting it relax to the back? Feeling this head, throat area fully embodying this element of ether or space, clear, clean, open, receptive. One more breath into the space element, feeling that head opening. Then gently, as you breathe out, bringing the palms together. And just, if you want, you can put your hands on your heart, like actually put your palms on your chest. And now that we've kind of all connected with our own feeling of this elemental first principles of Ayurveda that are our body and our bodies, we are in a place of clarity more and more to ask the sacred questions. And so I have two for us today. And usually the answer will come quite quick and then we doubt it. So just trust that first answer, trust that first insight. And the first question is this: what in my life right now is strengthening me? Is bringing me more joy, more love, more wisdom, more insight, more money, more goodness? What in my life is strengthening me? What friendships, what relationships, what foods? Just take a moment to kind of get the download. We'll give you about a minute here to get that answer. And then the second question, when you're ready, is just the opposite. Like, what, without any harshness or blame or judgment, condemnation, what's weakening me? What's weakening my system, my body, my soul? It can be anything from food to relationships to entertainment we take in. What's weakening me? And just take a minute with that. And again, no harshness or judgment. All right, when you're ready, you can slowly start to open the eyes and come back. So just in the interest of time, so that's just an example of, you meeting you meeting that inner knowing, that inner healer, that inner teacher, versus, sitting with someone and having them tell you all the good things that you should be doing to strengthen you and weaken you, which is great. And like, we need our coaches, right? And our practitioners and our therapists, but that's half of the yin and the yang. And this other thing where I think so many of you, I can kind of sense, we're like, oh yeah, I already know this, can be accessed really easily when given some room and some meditative space to access it. And that really is the the thing we try to do over here with giving you guys like some room to be with yourselves, to be with that knowing. A big special thanks to Kevin Carlisle of Goodbye Gemini, who wrote this beautiful podcast music, and to DJ Juan Pablo Jimenez in southern Spain for mixing it and making it magic.